Hello felting friends, welcome back to this week's video. This one's a little beach scene. It's actually only about 5 inches square. Lovely, I really enjoyed doing this one, and it's not too difficult, so we'll go ahead and I'll show you how I made it. So as always, the drawing is in the description box below. It's a nice simple picture again, so we're going to start with the sky. Just to put some blue on, I've got just my normal dream blue from World of Wool. So we're just going to put that all the way across the sky. I thought, as it's May, you know, summer hopefully is on its way, so we might as well start some summery seaside pictures. So they're not all going to be seaside, but I do have another one coming up that I've been saving for nearly a year to show you. So I started off with the blue, and now I'm on to it's just a creamy beige colour, very light colour, but basically it's just not white. So what you need to do is draw in your horizon line, and I'll go back in a minute and make sure I keep that level, and just bring all this colour down to the horizon line. And here I've got a mixture of the cream that I've used and the blue that I've used. So I've mixed them together and I'm just putting them between the two layers so that they blend into each other. And I haven't mixed them ever so well, so that some of the creamy colour that's mixed in the blue will actually end up making like little cloud effects. But it's a nice transition from one to the other. I just need to make sure that you do felt it all down well. But you can see I've got the blobs of cream in that with the blue, and I'm not worried at all. I'm just going to pop it down, and it just creates a nice little sky, and you haven't really had to work to do it. I'm sorry everything's wobbling a little bit there. I did try felting on an easel because I would prefer to stand up to felt and make these pictures, but I just couldn't get the camera angle right. Everything kept going out of focus and things, so I've had to come back to doing it on my table, but I've had to reset everything up, so I might need to move things around a bit because I don't like the wobble it's giving you. So anyway, you can see how well that's felted down now. I've spent a little while going all over that. So now we're just going to put a couple of the hillsides in the background. I'm just using a basic green. I didn't feel the need to do all sorts of weird stuff with this. I want it nice and simple. So I have covered up the pier that I put in. I decided in the end I didn't need it, so I didn't bother to put it in, but obviously you can if you want to. I'm hoping you can't hear a snoring dog in the background. Sorry if you can. But she's actually snoring really loudly. Anyway, so I'm just popping some yellow in for the sun here. Just a pale colour. It's really funny, I'm sorry. I don't know what she's dreaming, but she's obviously very happy. Anyway, back to the picture. Yeah, so we popped in some sun, just a little bit. because the one thing I do want on my holiday is some sunshine. This is just some more of that creamy colour that I had. And I'm mixing it with just a hint of the yellow that we use for the sunlight. And then I'm just going to lay it just across the top, just so it makes it look a little hazy. And I'm now marking in with a ruler with my horizon line. I'm trying to get it level. The first time I did it, I had the ruler skew for some reason, and so I had to just pull a bit of it off and actually straighten it back up again. Because obviously that's quite important that you have your horizon level. And then because I'm doing sea, I've just got a very dark blue, and so I've put that in as the back line first. And then I've taken that same very dark blue and I've mixed in some paler blue, and that's what I'm doing. I'm now going to put that across, and because I mixed in a little bit of the paler blue, it'll give you a vague impression of some wave out in the distance. But I wanted it really dark on the horizon line. I hope you can just see where the lighter bits mixed in give it that little bit of extra something. It's not just a flat blue colour. And now as I'm coming forward, I'm lightening it up a bit. So this has got more of the pale blue mixed into it now, rather than the dark blue. So because I'm going to do 2 or 3 sea pictures this summer, I thought we'll start off with a nice simple sea picture. So if you've not done one before with the sea in it, you can have a little go at this one and it'll start to give you the feel for doing the sea. And now what I've got here is I've got a like a greeny colour. You might be able to see it better in a minute, but as the wave comes forward and the light shines through the wave itself, it shows a lighter colour. You see, so in my case where I live, it comes out a little bit more greeny. Imagine if you lived somewhere tropical, it would come out more blue. You'd see lighter blues. But mine's more has a greeny kind of look to it. So this is what I'm putting in here. It's just I've started to layer in a kind of greeny blue. But you will see that better in a minute. It's perhaps not showing up quite as well as it could here. I'm just thinking. Right, so now obviously we have to have a beach to sit on, so this is just basically a beigey sandy colour. This is one of those times when the background felt that I'm using, I've got 100% wool felt background. It's one of the times where it doesn't matter as far as the sea goes if I didn't cover it completely, because it's not actually a bad colour for my sea. I do still attempt to cover it all up though. I have bought some beigey grey background felt, which once I've used up all of this I will go to. Right, so I've just got some white and I'm just going back out to the distant thing, going back out into the distance, and I'm putting some thin layers down just to start to look like a little bit of rolling waves in the distance. I'm not taking them all the way from one side to the other, because when you look at waves, obviously they roll and break in areas, and then other areas they haven't got anything. I use the same kind of wool in every picture, and sometimes the wool comes out fluffy and I have to keep trimming bits off, and other times it doesn't, and I have no idea. I don't know whether it's to do with the moisture in the air or whatever, but sometimes my pictures can come out fluffy and I have to go over them with scissors, and sometimes they felt done really, really well and you don't get all the fluffy extra bits. So here I am still just putting in little bits of wave. And I'm doing thick bits and thin bits. This is a nice little picture to do. It only took me probably 2 to 3 hours in total to do. It is a small picture, which helps, but it looks really nice and there's not actually too much to it. So it's worth having a go with this one. So certainly, especially if you've not done any sea before and you want to start to get the feel of how to do it. I still haven't learnt to use my pin cushion every time that I made. That's the little one up in the top right there. I've got a video for that if you want to see how to make the little aquarium pin cushion, but I'm trying to train myself to use it. Right, so I'm going in now with some darker colour because I want the little white surf bit to show up, so I'm going in just with a little bit of dark under the surf so it stands out a little more. So you can see where I've got the thicker bits, it looks like the waves rolling over. And of course, as they get closer to you, they're going to get bigger. Now I've got some slightly darker sandy colour here. If you've just got a sandy colour and a brown, mix the two together a bit, because the sand here would be wet where the wave is rolling up under the sand and then going out again. So that's going to be a little bit darker. So this is why I've put this in. So I'm putting this all the way along because obviously we're going to have some more white wave in a moment coming up onto the shoreline. So this one I'm putting all the way across, but don't do it obviously in a straight line. You want it to curve it in and out like a wave would actually come onto the shore. And because I need some variation on the sand, I'm making it a little darker here. What I do in a minute is I will chop quite a lot of the bottom of the picture off because it's unnecessary, and I will square it up so that it's actually 5 inches by 5 inches. So I'm going all the way across. I've covered up where the umbrella is going to be, and I've covered up where I've covered up where the chair is going to be, because I have the original drawing, so I can cut it out and put it back like I quite often do. And what I did was mark off. I took the drawing over onto the picture I'm doing and marked off the height where the umbrella is going to be. And then I'm just going to draw around the umbrella with a bit of white wool and then fill it in. You can see I've cut the bottom of the picture off now. So just pull the wool nice and thin and then use it as if you're going to draw around like you would with a pencil. What you can do if you're not very confident yet with your drawing things is pop in the parasol, but the umbrella thing, like I'm doing, and then you could just put underneath it, rather than making the deck chair, you could just put a blanket, like someone's lying there but they've gone out for a swim. So you don't have to tackle the deck chair if it seems a little bit much for you at the moment. But you definitely pop in the umbrella because it gives a nice pop of colour in a minute. So I've put the outline, now I'm just going to fill it all in white. And just try and keep the edges nice and crisp if you can. Run your needle along the edges and gather up all the stray bits of wool, and then you can just felt them in. So you just need to choose the colour that you fancy for your stripe, and I would make it a nice bright cheerful one. And remember to make the stripe thinner when it gets to the top and make it thicker when it gets down to the edge here. I think when I was doing this, I actually think the umbrella, this really bright pop of colour at the front here, is what makes the picture. And I cut it longer like I did and fold it back up because I get a nice neat crisp line, crisp edge. And now what I'm doing is I've got the same pink, but I've made it a little bit darker. You can add a little bit of red or whatever the colour is, make it a little darker, and then just put it on the edges at the back like this, because the sun wouldn't be catching it there, and I want to give the illusion that the umbrella hangs down a little bit, it curves over. So that's why I put a little bit of the shady colour just on the ends here. But it doesn't go all the way up, it's just literally just where the umbrella would curve over a little bit. And then as well, what I've done here is I've got a little bit of beigey grey, and I'm just doing basically the same thing on the white areas. But I didn't really take that up too much. That's more on the edge, because again I want to give you the illusion that that's a little bit shaded there. And then I've outlined it in a dark grey. I haven't gone all the way around with the outline, it's just that bit on the bottom by the beach. So now I've done my usual thing, I've cut out my deck chair, and I'm now going to use it to more or less put in the shape of the chair. I will tell you though that this is really, really fiddly, and even though I'm not sure that I'll show you on here, you will see it in the finished picture, but I have to keep going back and slightly adjusting things. So if you're not feeling inclined to tackle a bit of a complex thing, I would just put yourself a nice beach towel down. But I never run away from a challenge, so it wasn't going to defeat me. And this is just dark brown, and then I will highlight it with a lighter colour, because I don't want any of my things just to look like flat. And it's been so long since I sat on a deck chair that I've had trouble remembering what shape they have and how they actually assemble. I'm not sure I could actually get in or out of a deck chair now. So as you can see, this is just a little bit of a lighter brown, and I'm just going along some of it to just make it look a little bit more 3D. I always had trouble assembling a deck chair in real life, so why I chose to try and do a deck chair now, I don't know. So it's obviously got the canvasy kind of seat, so I started off, because I know I'm going to put some stripes on it, so I just started off with a white base again, and then I'll add stripes in a minute. I liked this little picture that much when I'd finished with it, but it's actually up on my wall. Quite a lot of my pictures I I like them, but obviously I don't have room even on my wall to put lots of pictures, so I either rotate them out or I'm keeping them because I may put them up for sale, start to sell them in September. I'm thinking about building a website, and if I do that, then I may offer some of my pictures, not all of them, but I may offer some of my pictures up for sale. But I don't know yet. I've got a few things I want to work out first. I deliberately didn't do stripes on the deck chair the same colour as the stripes on the umbrella because I thought it would be too much, and I want the little umbrella, it really stands out, look really nice, so I didn't want it to sort of match. And I'm just putting in a bit of shading so that the deck chair is actually sitting on the sand and not floating in the air. And the thing to remember with this shading is the sun's in front of it, so it would light up underneath things up to a point as well. So now I'm just popping in the pole that's going to keep the umbrella up. That's why I had to do the deck chair first, otherwise you'd have been trying to work a deck chair around this pole and it would not have been fun. But if you notice on here as well, I've got two different browns and I've just mixed them together. So I've got the light, which I've used for the highlighting on the deck chair, and the dark as well, and I've just kind of rolled them together. And I've just put a little bit dark down the back. I could see that the deck chair wasn't quite right at this point, but I do go back at the end of my picture. I don't know whether I recorded it or I did it afterwards, and I just kind of make it, I'd move if you can see the diagonal legs at the bottom, I make them a bit more diagonal so they actually go down into the ground rather than, I don't know, it looks like it's hovering somewhere. So the actual stripy bits I didn't mind too much, and the top part, but those two legs at the bottom I had to go back and just redo a little bit. So now I'm just darkening down. I was thinking sand dunes, so I was just darkening down the edges a little bit here, and then I put some lights and darks on them. Yeah, if you look at the deck chair now, I did do it afterwards. You can see it's still a little hazy, but at least it looks like it's sitting in the sun now. And then I thought I wanted a little bit of extra colour, a little bit of something else. So they have a picnic blanket, and I'm going to pop a glass of orange juice or something on the actual blanket. Not sure I'd have a glass drink with the sand flying in the top of it, but that's what they have. And I've just done some lights and darks on this little rug as well. I'm just laying up some lights and darks just to give a little bit of texture to it. You wouldn't really see a lot because you're too far away, but I just wanted some and I'm using like pinky reds. I'm not using, it looks, where I'm sitting, it looks like I'm using the beige but of the sand, but I'm not. Although you could, let's be honest, sand gets everywhere. Now I'm going to build the glass, so I'm using some white and I'm just going to literally draw a glass shape. It's a little bit fiddly because you need to keep the wool fairly fine, but it's not that hard. So you can see I'm literally drawing a glass. And then we'll fill it in with whatever drink you want to give them. So I used an orange because I thought it balances out the sun and the sand quite nicely. And it's a nice little pop of colour on that rug. Now I've put a little bit of a shadow for the glass, but I do go and put some orange over it because it wouldn't really be casting a very dark shadow because the light would be going through it. So, and because the light would be going through it, the orange of the drink would reflect on to the rug itself. So I do go back in and just add, it's very, very faint and you might not even see it, but I just know it's there. So I go and add a little bit of orange. There, I'm just doing it there, just a touch. And I decided the rug was too dull, so I've gone back in and added a bit more of the red to it. Still working on the deck chair. I decided at that point that you really couldn't see the legs, so I went back in and darkened them down a bit. I'm still building up some of the shade there. And here I'm just putting a few little bits of browny, it's kind of an orange and green I've mixed together. It's just a little bit of tufts of grass on the sand dunes. Just a little bit of interest in the corners. And there we have it. This is this week's picture. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a nice little one to do. It's not too complicated, apart from the deck chair, which you could easily leave out. So anyway, if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you'd like to. It helps my channel grow. It seems to be quite important. And I do love to read your comments, so do please feel free to drop a comment in the boxes below. And I will see you on either Tuesday for our other little video series, or next Friday for the next picture. Thank you very much for being with me. See you then. Bye.